Hi everyone, this is Dikshit. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to discuss about Docker commands. So prerequisites for this particular video is you need to know Docker architecture. That means what is Docker client and Docker daemon. So how the commands are executed, and then basics of Docker, like when you run a Docker file, so how the layering will work. So all those stuff, if you know, so it'll be very helpful for this particular video. And so this is basically a screenshot I've taken from Docker help command. So this is there are two types of commands in Docker. One is management commands, another one is commands. So in this particular video, I'll explain about whatever you can see in the screen, right? So I'll explain about all the commands. I'll just give a brief about each command, and then with a simple example, I'll try to execute all the commands. Okay. And the management commands, I'll do another video. So I'll just give a link of that also in description. So you can watch that also. So let's get into so first command. Our first command is docker attach. So docker attach is basically is used to attach your terminal's standard input, output, or a error. So are the combination of three to a running container using running containers ID or running containers name. This allows you to view its ongoing output or to control its interactively as the commands are running directly on your terminal. So let's see what is Docker attach in practically, so that you'll get to know what it is. So basically, I have two. I'll just take two things, two prompts of my machine wherein I've installed a Docker. So let me clear the screen. So what I'll do is I'll just verify I don't have whether I have some containers are running or not. Okay, I don't have any containers. So let me do container creation. So for that, Docker run. So I'll explain this run when I come to run command explanation. Okay. So -it and then busy box. This is basically image, and then I'm just giving bin sh. Okay. So now, so it is not able to find locally. So it is pulling from hub.docker.com. Okay. And docker ps. So now I have a running container. Okay. So now let's do docker attach. And I need to give the container ID. So container ID or container name, anything is fine. So let me copy paste the same command in another prompt also. So now, so whatever the command I execute here, you can see in another prompt also. So this is what. So if I type some wrong command, so then it will be executed here, and you can see the output, right? So if I execute in one terminal, so you'll be able to see in another terminal. This is why we'll use attach command. So we can just see interactively, so in many of the prompts, what is happening. And one more thing to keep in mind. So when I do exit, so container will be stopped. Now, if you do docker ps, so you can see like none of the containers are running. So it is stopped. So you can see now, the container has been exited 10 seconds ago. So whenever you do docker attach and you exit from the container, so then your container will be stopped. Okay. This is about docker attach. And coming to docker build. So the next command is docker build. Docker build command is basically is used to build a Docker image out of Dockerfile and a context. Context is basically a set of files located in the specified path or URL. So the build process can refer to any of the files in the context. For example, your build can use a copy instruction to refer any file in the context. So when I show a demo, right? So on Docker build, so that time you'll get to know a clear picture of context. Okay. So what I'll do is like I'll go to my prompt again. So again, I'll do docker ps. So obviously I don't have any container running. So what I'll do is let me delete all the things, all the files which are there in this particular folder. And so let me write a simple Docker file. Okay. So Docker file is from busybox and then I'll do a run. So I'll just touch then A. I'll just create a file name A, B, and C. Okay, this is a basic Docker file. So to build a Docker file, so we'll use the command called as docker build, docker build dot. As I've already told, right? So what it does, so whatever dot, I mean, whatever the path or URL you give, right? That Docker consider it as context. In our case, as I've given dot, right? So it will consider my present working folder as my context, and it will send all the files which are present in this particular folder. Okay, so as I don't have any files, so it won't send anything. So let me do one thing. So let me clone a few of my repos, so that let's see like what happens. Okay, github.com. I guess my internet is a bit slower. So let me clone this particular Kubernetes project, and also a few more I'll copy. So just for demo, okay, git clone, and I've just cloned it. Okay, and for demo purpose, I'll clone one more repo, which is shell scripts. Okay, so get clone. So when I do this, see, I have two folders, right? One is this one, and another one is like shell scripting. Okay, so now when I do docker build dot, so you can see, so whatever the files are there, so it will be sent to Docker daemon. So when I do docker build for the first time, so you can see from the logs. So when I did it for the first time, so it is sending 11.78 KB to the Docker daemon. So when I clone some files, and I've kept some files in present working directory where I'm sending present working directory as a Docker context. So there I have two folders, right? When I do that, and when I do Docker build, so you can see now the data sent to Docker daemon has been increased, which is 1.139 MB. Okay, so that is what. So whatever the files are there in Docker context, so in our case it is present working directory, so will be sent to Docker daemon. Okay, so as you can see, so it is basically to build images, right? So now if you do Docker images, so you'll be able to see the images that we have created. So 2 minutes ago I've created this particular image, right? That's why you can see, so there is particular image with the ID this one, and the size of images 1.22 MB. Okay, and there are other options are available in Docker build. So which are basically, so let's say your project has one file, so which is of 200 to 300 MB. So to send it to Docker daemon, it will take some time, right? So now I have only 1.39 MB, so it will take very less time to send it to Docker daemon. Let's say you have 200 or 300 MB, so it has to be copied to your container. That has to be there in your Docker context, right? So that time what you need to do is, like, there is an option, so wherein what you can do is docker build, and then you need to specify the option compress, and then dot. So what it does, you can see my 1.3 13 MB has been reduced to 8.61 KB. So what it does, whatever the files are there in your present working directory or Docker context, right? So it will be zipped into a file, and then it will send it to Docker daemon. So by which we can reduce the size of the files which we are sending it to a Docker daemon, and obviously our build time is also reduced. Okay, and other options here, I'll discuss only few options, but there are many options are available. So I'll just leave a link for that also in description. So I'll try to give you about 5 to 6 options for this particular command. Okay, and let's say your project requirement is like you don't need to name your Docker file as Docker file itself. Your project requirement is you need to name it as something called as project name. Let's say a project name is something Apple. So let me rename this file. So to Apple. Okay. So when I do this, when I do Docker build now, so it will fail obviously because it will search for my Docker file. So it is not there, right? So it will obviously fail. So to build these kind of things, like my Docker file name is not Dockerfile, so which is something else. So to tell my Docker file name is something different, so there is an option which is like Docker build -f, and you need to specify the file name, and then you need to give the Docker context. Okay, so when you do this one, so you can see now I'm telling like my Docker daemon that my Docker file name is Apple. So you take that and build it. So this is how if a Docker file name is different, so this is the option that you need to use it. Okay, but it is always recommended to use the Docker file name as Docker file itself. So it is recommended way to use that. Okay, so let me rename that back to Docker file. Okay, so now I have Docker file. Okay, so one more option. So actually you can see, I mean, whenever I run for the next time, so you can see this is using from cache. Okay, so if you know about Docker layering, so when you run the second instruction in Dockerfile, so it will create a new layer, and it will give the newly committed layer to the third instruction. So what we will do is like we'll edit our Docker file and we'll add one more. Okay, so one more run test and test one. Okay, so what happens is like when you build your Docker file now, so what it do is like it will give whatever instruction has been mentioned here, right? It will be executed on top of the previous layer, and newly created layer will be given to the next instruction. Okay, and when you run for the second time, so it will be I mean all the intermediate images are will be there in your cache. So Docker cache, so it will be used from that, and then it will be given to other further instructions basically. Okay, so if you don't want to use so the layers which are present in cache, so if you don't want to do that, then there is an option which is basically Docker build -no cache. So by which what you can do is like you don't, I mean like as you can see here, so you're not using any layers from cache. So it is freshly building each layer and giving it to the next steps. Okay, so this is basically because sometimes so let's say there is application you have installed m installed tree. So tree is an application utility, so it gives the file names in a tree structure. So that has been installed. So let's say you want to install every time when you run a Docker file. So in that cases, so you can use -no cache, and then it will work as expected. Okay, and as you can see, so when I do Docker build, so again and again, so what it does, so whatever the BusyBox image which are available in my host, it will use that only. Okay, let's say in BusyBox latest, official BusyBox latest only. So they have did some changes. They have did some configuration changes. So I've pulled my image 2 days back, but the changes has been done a few hours ago. So when I do a Docker build, so it is not pulling from Docker hub, right? So it is using the BusyBox image which is present in my local itself. Correct. So I won't get that configurations at all. Okay, to avoid such cases, or else like if your requirement is always you want to pull your particular image from the hub.docker.com, then there is an option that you can use. So which is basically Docker build -pull. So when you do this, so you can see like the images, I mean, it is basically up to date. If it is not up to date, if any changes are there, it will definitely gonna pull it, and then it will use that newer image. Okay. And next one is Docker images. When I do this, so as you can see, we have created 3 images. So, but if you see that doesn't have any repository name or the tag. Okay. So this is bad, right? If you want to push it to your hub.docker.com, or if you want to tell someone like this is what I've created, you can't give like this. You need to name it properly and then you need to give it. So for that also we have a option, so which is docker build and hyphen tag, and then you can give your repository name and the tag. I'll give latest and the build context. When you do this, so now if you check docker images, so now you'll be able to see Dikshit -test and the tag is latest. If you don't give any tag, so then it will be latest by default. Okay. So the next command is docker commit. So this I have discussed in my other videos, but anyway, like I'll just give a brief about that. I'll execute so docker commit. Okay. So docker commit is basically to commit a container file changes or settings into a newer image. This allows you to debug a container by running an interactive shell. Like you can get into the containers shell and you can execute few commands and you can install many stuff and then create out of image out of that container. That is how I mean Docker commit helps to create a image out of running container. Okay, and this is not a suggested way because you don't have any documented steps that how your image has been created, or there is no like documented or maintainable. You can't maintain this particular image because you don't know what are all the steps that you've taken. Okay, but I just wanted to show there is a way we can create an image out of a running container. So that time we need to use docker command. Okay, so let me do that. Docker yes, I guess we don't have any running containers. So let me run docker run hyphen d busybox, and then I'll just give hyphen it2 hyphen it and bin sh. Okay, when you do this, so you'll be able to see a running container. Okay, so now let me go inside docker exec hyphen it, so and slash bin sh. When I do this, I'm now inside my particular container. So what I'll do is I'll just create few of the files, A, B, C, something like that. Okay. So now let's say I need to create an image out of this container. So what I need to do is just go back. So docker yes again, not ex, it's ps. Okay. So now docker commit and the container ID and what name you should want for your image. Okay, so let me give Dikshit SN and then let me give commit test. Okay, so if I don't give any tag, so by default it is latest. So now you can see docker images. So if you see now, so there is an image. So this you can push it to hub.docker.com, so then others can pull it and they can install it in their host machines also. So just to verify, so I'll just create one more container by using this particular image. Okay, docker run hyphen d hyphen it, and then I'll take this image now. Okay, and then bin sh. Okay, okay, my docker spelling is wrong. Okay, so now you can see I'll be having 2 running containers. So this is the latest container, which is created out of, you can see the image here. Let me log in and let's see whether the files which I've created in other container are there or not. Okay, so now if you see, so there is the files which are created in another container, and from that we have created the image, and from that image we are creating this container. You can see now, so there is uh, there is the files that we have created. Okay, so I'll exit from this. Okay, and this is about Docker commit. And coming to Docker CP, so Docker CP is basically to you use to copy the files from your local machine to the container to the local machine. So basically from running container to a local machine, from local machine to a Docker container. Okay, so let's see how to do that. So the command is very simple, Docker CP, and then you need to give a source path. So let's say I want to copy Kubernetes file inside my container. Okay, so I need to give the container ID. So for which container I need to copy, and then I need to give colon, and for which folder I need to copy. I'm assuming it as like root. So that's why I'm giving this. So now all your Kubernetes folder will be copied to the container. So let's see that only. Docker exec -it and the container and bin sh. Okay. So now if you see, Kubernetes folder should be there. Yeah. So you can see Kubernetes folder has been copied to the Docker container. Okay. So now let's say you want to copy some file from container to local. Okay. What you can do that. So basically for this reason, so we'll use mounting or volumes. Okay. So but if at all, if you don't have any mounting or if you don't have any volumes for the container, so this is a way you can copy always your local file system, local files to the container. Okay, Docker CP and the container ID I need to give. So sorry, container ID, and so let's say I need to copy so the root folder to my Kubernetes folder. Okay, when I do this, uh, there is some issue. Docker. Okay, Docker CP. Okay, actually, this is wrong. I need to give other slash. I guess. Now, if you see, if you go inside Kubernetes folder, yes, you can see all ATC root has been copied from the container to my local system, local machine. Okay, so this is about Docker CP. And coming to the next command, so the next command is Docker create. So Docker create command creates a writable container layer over the specified image, and it prepares it for running the specific command. The container ID is printed once you execute this particular command. And this is similar to Docker run -d. I'll talk about Docker run in uh, coming slides. So, but it is similar to Docker run -d. So -d in the sense like daemon mode. So background, basically run it in a background. Expect the container as never started. So when you execute this particular command, right? So the the container status will be created. So, but it is not started. Okay. So this is useful when you want to set up a container configuration ahead of the time, so that like it's ready for the start when you need it. So basically, when you want to set up a configuration, if you want to release any application, so you just set up all the configuration by using this particular. You set up all the configuration of the container and create the container of using this Docker create command. And whenever you want to start, then just use Docker start, and then start your container. Okay. So this is also a very simple command. So let me execute it. Okay. So I'll just go to my this one, Docker PS. Okay, I have two containers. So when you do Docker create -it busybox bin sh. Okay, so when you do this, so as you can see the container ID created, so it won't be a running container. So that's the reason it is not listed. If you see now, so here is like our container which has been created 9 seconds ago. Okay, so when you want it, like let's say all the configuration is set up, so now I need to start it. So now I need that container should come up. So then you can use docker start and the container ID 742. So basically you don't need to give the entire container ID. So I mean, if you say like you see first 3 digits, it's unique out of all your containers, then you can give first 3 digits or first four. So that is more than enough. Okay, Docker PS now. So now if you see, so my container is up and running. Okay, and the next one is so this is about Docker create, and the next command is Docker diff. So when you come to Docker diff, so Docker diff is basically it shows the changed files and dictionaries in the container file system since the container was created. So so it will give the file changes, whether it is deleted or changed or added, those kind of information from it as since it has created. Okay, so let's do a diff for this particular Docker diff and then the container ID. When you do this, so you can see, so I've created 3 files, right, basically, and then I've changed. Obviously, I've created A, B, C in root folder, so it says like changed, root directory is changed, and these files have been added. Correct. Okay, so if anything is deleted, so then it will show up as D here. Okay, it will basically show added files, changed files, and deleted files. Okay. So this is about Docker diff. And coming to the next command. So next command is Docker events. Docker events is used to get real-time events from the server, basically a Docker daemon. Only the last, 1,000 logs will be written by default. So you can further, filter it actually. Okay, so that is possible. So let's see how it works. Okay, let's get into our machine and let's see how it works. So for this, so what I'll do is like I'll have two consoles. So in one, I'll just run Docker events. Okay, when I run this, so let me run some commands here, Docker PS. So let me kill one particular uh, container. Let me stop one container. Okay, so whatever the actions, as you can see, so I mean the actions like I've stopped it. So you can see here. So real time events which is happening in server, so it gives us. Okay, so when I come to Docker stop, I'll explain in detail what is Docker stop. Okay, and then let's say I want to do again start of that particular this one. So again, so you can see it will update the logs. Okay, there is something called as like some filters, hyphen scenes and hyphen filter. You can use that and you can further um, filter these events. Let's say you want to see the events which are related to only this particular container, then you can use hyphen filter and container name you can give. So then it will show only the events related to this particular container. Okay, and so coming to next command. So basically this is Docker exec. So I've used a couple of times, right? So Docker exec is basically to run any new commands or to get into the containers shell. So for this reason, we're gonna use Docker exec. So let me come out of this and so let me do one thing. So I'll try to execute a few commands by using Docker exec. Docker ps. And now, so two running containers, three are there. docker exec -it. So not -id, I'll just execute in a daemon mode -d, and my container ID is this. So let me take this, and again I'll do a touch something called as test2 test3 I'll give. Okay, when I do this, so yeah, command has been run in a background, and those files has been created. Okay, so let's say you want to get into the container and you want to execute some particular commands. Okay, so for that reason, what you'll do is docker exec -it, and the container ID again, and the executable. Okay, when you do this, so I'll be there inside my container. So you can see, so test2 and test3 has been created. Now again, you can execute whatever the commands you need. Okay, ls you can execute touch eb, and multiple these things you can do, rf, and you can give ab, I want to delete this, all this stuff you can do it. Okay, so by entering into the shell of your container, basically to run commands and to get into the container, so you can use docker exec. Okay, so this is about docker exec, and next command is docker export. So docker export is basically to export containers file system. Docker export exports the containers file system as a tar archive, and it won't export that volumes which are like if a volume is attached to this particular container. So when you do docker export, so the file system which is present in a volume, it won't be exported. Okay, so this is why, because let's say somebody like who doesn't have access to this host, they wanted to see what are all the files which is present in this particular container. They want to see the folder structure, and they wanted to create that particular image from this particular container, the file system they want, right? So that time what you can do is like you can do a docker export, and you can create a docker's containers file system as an image, and then they can you can give it to them. So basically it is very simple. So docker export, and then just give a name of the container. So you can give a container ID also. Okay, and then I'll just give latest tar. Okay, so when you do this, so you can see tar file has been created. So now you can give this tar file via you can just give it to other person in any forms, like you can upload it to github, or you can send it via email or something like that. So then what you can do is, okay, this is the latest start, so you can give it to him. So there is another command, so I'll discuss. So there is load, docker load. When he uses docker load, so in this mission, which is also very simple, docker load, and then take that latest start. Okay, when you do this, oh sorry, so basically not this one. I guess latest star, latest docker load, and then I guess like you need to use some option, so which is basically input. So when it is in a gz file, so then you can use it, that redirection symbol. So when it is star, so then hyphen input. Okay, when you do this, why it is docker no such file or directory. Oh, sorry, not Docker load. So sorry about that. So it's not Docker load. It is Docker import. Okay, so I was confused. It's Docker import, export and import. That's all. Okay, input, and then I'll just give latest star. So when you do this, so it will create an image out of this particular file system. I guess this doesn't have any options like this. So you just need to give docker low import and the latest. So yes, you can see. So sorry about that. I was confused. So docker images. So now you can see the image out of whatever the file system it has, right? So it has created image for that also, for that only. Okay. So now you can use this image and you can create a container and you can see the file system. Okay. And the next command is Docker history. So Docker history shows the history of image, like what are all the steps it has executed, like when you do a Docker build, right? So what are all the steps it has been executed to create an image. So it will show all those things. Okay. So now if I do Docker history, and then if I give a ID, image ID, so it is basically 2CD. So I give this, so I can see as I've imported, so it will just show it is imported from so and so. Okay. So if you want to some other history, so let's see that. So let me give 6F0. Okay. So as you can see, so these are all the steps that was there in Docker file. So it has been shown. Okay. So this is about Docker history. It shows basically history of an image by which I mean layers the image has been created. Okay, and the next one is Docker images. So I've used this command also multiple times. Docker images basically to list all the images present in your machine. So if you want to see all the dangling images, then you need to give Docker images -a. So all the images it will list. Okay. And then let's say you have a script, so you want to delete all the images. So you want only IDs. So then you can use -aq. So basically it gives the IDs of your particular images. Okay. So that is about Docker images. And also there is an option. So -filter. So by using that, so you can filter only particular uh, images. So let's say I want to get dangling images only. Dangling images basically, so when you build your Docker file, right? So intermediate layers will be there, right? Those will call it as dangling images. Okay. So filter is equals to, so not is equals to here. So dangling is equals to true. When you do this, so these are three dangling images. So it gives that as an output. Okay. So this is about Docker images. There are many other options also. Okay. If you want to see any other options, what you can do is Docker images hyphen hyphen L. When you do this, it will show all the options which are present under this particular um, commands. Okay. And the next command is Docker import. So we have already seen this. So you can export the file system of container by using Docker export, and you can create an image out of that tar file using Docker import. Okay. And the next command is Docker info. So Docker info is basically gives the low level information, like it gives a system level information, metadata. You can say what kind of a file system it is using and what kind of a network it is using, and the storage, and how many containers are running, and how many images there. All this stuff will be given in this particular command. Okay, it's best basically a system information it gives. Okay, that's about Docker info. And coming to Docker inspect. So Docker inspect command will give the low level information of your Docker objects. So Docker objects can be anything: Docker container, Docker volume, Docker images. Okay, let's apply this particular command to one of our image, and let's see how it works. Okay, so I'll just take Docker images. I'll just inspect my Docker image. Okay, Docker inspect, and let me give So anything, this image, and then so we'll see. So basically, it gives output in JSON format. Okay, so this is how it gives. As you can see, there are many fields. Correct. Okay. So let's say you want to you want to get only a particular path. So then what you can do is, so there is something called as hyphen hyphen format. Okay. And then uh, you need to give that format inside this. Okay. So basically what you need. So I'm not sure. So what did I get? So let me give log path. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Log path is not there. So you can give whatever. Let's say you want something. Okay. So let me do one thing. So I'll inspect one of the container itself, so that so log path will be there in that particular container. Okay. Let me give this container here. Again, format. I will take off T E. Can I enter? Yes. You can see this is the log path. Okay. You can filter. You can filter the output. That is the basically use of hyphen hyphen format. Okay. And yes, that is about inspect. And the next command is docker kill. So docker kill. So we'll see this one with docker events in another thing, another prompt. So I'll issue a command docker events. It gets me the real time events, what is happening in my thing. Okay. So I'll just clear this screen. So let me do one thing, docker ps. Okay. So docker, when I do docker kill, and then when I give a ID, okay, so what it does, it will kill my particular Docker container. Basically, when I do Docker PS, it won't be there. When I do Docker PS hyphen A, so my container will be exited state. You can see 23. So basically, the container ID was, let's see that. The container ID is 742. You can see which has been exited from 9 seconds ago. Okay. So what it does, kill will directly send a signal called as signal kill 137. The signal code is something called as 9. You can see here the signal 9. It will send it to your Docker container. So what it does, as soon as you send a kill, so it will try to stop your main process of your container, and it will dice off. And it is very risky to use. Let's say your main process is doing something, it is in between, it is updating something and all. So when you issue a Docker kill, so it basically kills your main process. It was in the middle. So it is always a risky option to use it. So, but I mean, I'm just showing you, like, you don't, if you're least bothered about your main process, if you're in a dev environment, a QA environment, you just want to kill your container. So then that time you can use Docker kill. Okay. And so there is one more command, which is docker stop. So docker stop is basically when you do docker stop. So when I enter a docker kill, right? So it just kills my container as soon as I issue that command, right? So we'll see that also, docker stop, and then let me give this particular ID. Okay. So what it does, first it'll see it waits for some time. Basically default time is 10 seconds. It'll wait for 10 seconds. It'll alt, basically when I execute this one, so it'll send a signal 15. That means alt signal to the container. So it'll alt for 10 seconds, and then it'll issue a command signal called as 15. So which is basically to kill the container. Okay. So this is stop makes sure, I mean, it gives some time to main process to complete its work and then kill it. So this is always a recommended option to use over a kill. So stop will basically will issue us some time. It will give some time to main process and then it will exit the container. Okay. And coming to the next command, it's basically a Docker load. Before discussing this, I'll just discuss about Docker save, so which is here. So I'll explain Docker save now itself, and then I'll explain Docker load. So Docker save, when it will come into picture is, let's say there is a colleague who doesn't have access to hub.docker.com, so you won't be able to pull the Docker images onto his machine. So in that case, what you can do is you can save it to a tar file, a tarball, and then you can share it with him by using Docker load. So then you can load it onto a system. Okay. So whatever import and export that we did was like for Docker containers file system. So here we are talking about Docker image. So Docker image has been can be converted to Docker tar, and then we can load it back. Okay. So I'll just show that. So Docker images. So now let's save this one. Okay. Docker save and let me give this particular command the image name basically, and then I'll just save it to image star. Okay. So now if you see, if I do ls, yes, image star is there. So let me do one thing. So let me delete that particular image. When I load it, so I should get the same image. Okay. So let me delete that. Docker RMI is, so I'll delete this. Okay. So because this has been used by some containers, so I'll do Docker PS. Okay. So let me stop this also. So it'll take some time, right? I told you how Docker stuff works. Okay. So now Docker PS-A. So there is something called as subcommands in this one, RM, and then I'll explain about this at the end. Okay. So Docker PS-AQ. So it has been removed. Now Docker RMI, and then I guess now I'll be able to delete this particular image. Yes. So now if you see Docker images, so I don't have any images with that name. Okay. So Dikshit commit test is being deleted. So now when I do Docker load, and then hyphen input, then if I give image tar as an input, so you can see now that has been imported as Dikshit SN commit hyphen test latest. Now when I do Docker images, so yes, my image is written. So this is how if somebody doesn't have Docker hub access, so you can send the tarball and then they can use it. Okay. And then the next command is Docker login. So Docker login is basically to log in to your self-hosted registry basically. So in my case, I've created the account in hub.docker.com, and then I'm using the credentials here. So if you want to push to your repository, then you need to use Docker login. You need to log in with your credentials, and then you'll be able to push it. Okay. So let's say you are working for a organization, so they'll have private repositories. They won't use hub.docker.com as their repository. So if you want to log in for that, so it's basically just a Docker login. and so registry URL you need to give. So in my case, if you don't give anything, so it is basically hub.docker.com. Okay, so log in with Docker ID push. You can see here. If you don't have Docker ID, head over to http://dockerhub.com. Just create it. So basically, if you don't give anything, so it will take this as a registry. So my username is Dikshit SN. So and then so when I do this, yeah, it'll give a prompt. Login is succeeded. Okay, this is about Docker login. So when you want to log into a self-hosted registry, or if you want to push, then that time you need to use this Docker login. And the next command is Docker logout. So Docker logout is basically to, I mean, as the word says, to log out from whatever the credentials that you have entered. I do Docker logout. So it just comes, it just removes the login credentials of my hub.docker.com basically. Okay. And then the next one is Docker logs. Fetch the logs from container. So basically, if you want to see any logs of your container, so that time you're gonna use this particular command. So before that, let's run one container with so that runs infinite loop. So printing something, some variable or some integer or something like that. Okay. So for this, what I'll do is Docker run, then hyphen, I'll just give a name. So this is how you will give the name for your container, which is basically a test. And then I'll run it in a daemon mode and busy box the image name. And I'll give an executable on which it should run. And then I'm just applying the commands. Okay. So my command is while true. Basically, it is an infinite loop. And then do this particular thing. So echo a date. So I'll just do execute a command. So basically, so this is shell script basically. Echo a date and then close it and sleep for 1 second and then I'll do a done. So this is the syntax of my. So it's not colon. It should be a semicolon. And then it's done. Okay, when I do this, so yes, my Docker container will be created. So yeah. Okay. So now if I want to access the logs of this particular container, so then what I need to do is like, let me take one more prompt. So Docker logs -f. So when I do, when I want to access this logs, so I'll just do until this is the option I'm using is equals to 2 seconds. Last 2 seconds. So I guess I don't want to use this. So let's do Docker. Oh, sorry. So I need to give supply this container ID, right? So, mm, sorry, and copy here. So as you can see, so it is printing the date for every second. It is printing it, and then until 2 seconds means of until last 2 seconds. So I need to get the logs. That is what I'm doing. Okay. So this is about Docker logs. And the next command is docker pause. The docker pause, uh, whatever the processes are there in a particular your container, it will be paused. Okay, so we'll try to execute this. Docker pause, and then you need to give the container ID. Okay, it will be running, so all the processes will be paused. That's all. Okay, so now to show that, so let's say we'll check the logs. So it is stuck. See, I mean the process has been stuck. So that is what after 24. So 24th second, I'm not getting anything. Okay. So to unpause that, so there is one more command, docker unpause, and then give the container ID again. So when I do this, so all the process has been unpaused now. So now let's check the logs again. Okay, now if you see, so it is printing like 26, 25, like whatever it is. Like it is printing the logs now. Okay, so this is about pause and unpause in a Docker container. And the next one is port. So let's say you have a container which has been attached to some port. So if you want to see those port mappings, then you'll go for Docker port. So it will just give the port mappings of your container. So to do that, so I'll use docker run -d, and then -p I'll use, so 8080. I'll use this nginx, and then yes, that's it. So when you do docker ps now, so there is a port mapping for this. Okay, so when I want to see only the port mappings, then you need to use docker port and give the container id. So it gives the port mappings. Okay, this is about docker ports. And then coming to docker ps, so I've already used all this few of the commands. So docker ps is to list the running containers. Okay, so you can see two containers are running. So if you want to see all the stopped container also, so then you need to use docker -a. So -a is for all. So I don't have any stopped containers, right? So that's the reason it is showing this. Only two again. No, there is no difference between -a and docker ps because I don't have any stopped container. So if you want to get only the image IDs, then you need to use -aq. So it will give you the image IDs. Okay, so that is about docker ps to list the containers. And the next one is docker pull. So let's say when you do a docker run, right? So what it does, it pulls the image and it creates a container out of it. So let's say I don't want to run it. I just want to pull the image and I want to keep it. So whenever I want it, I just can use it because again, when I create a container, it won't go to Docker Hub and doesn't pull it because um, it is already there in my particular mission. So for that, what you need to do is Docker pull, and then let's say I need Ubuntu. When I do this, it will fetch the images from hub.docker.com. Basically, whatever the registry you give, right? Docker login. So from there, it will pull these images. Okay, and then Docker push. So let's say you want to push some images to hub.docker.com. Let's say Docker ps. I don't want to do this. Docker images I'll do. Okay. So now let's say I want to push this image to my particular hub.docker.com with my credentials. So let's do that quickly. Hub.docker.com. So then I'll just go inside. So I've logged into my hub.docker.com. So here I need to create a repository to my image. Okay. So I'm just keeping it as public. So let me create this. So I have a repository with this particular name. Then I can go ahead and I can push it, my image. Okay. Before this, I need to do Docker login. So my Docker login is this. Okay, when I do this, login is succeeded, Docker push, and I need to push this particular image. So I can see, so it is preparing layers to push it. Okay, so now when I refresh the screen, so I'll be able to see the tags. So my the tag is latest, so I'll be able to see here. So as you can see, so basically Docker push is used to push your images. Okay, and the next command is Docker rename. So Docker rename is to rename your containers. So let's say I have the name like this, right? I don't want to keep my containers name like this. So then you can rename it. Test one. So now if you do Docker ps, so you can see the name of your container is changed to Docker test one. Okay, and then Docker restart. So restart is basically to restart your container itself, which is not suggested because if you do so, so it'll stop your container and again it'll restart. It'll start your container. So it'll take some time to stop your container and then get it back. So there will be some downtime for the application. And instead of this, so Docker kill command is there, right? So by using Docker kill command, so you can send some custom signals for your container. So by using that, you can restart the process which is inside your containers. That is, you can do like this: Docker kill hyphen signal is equals to, there is something called as sig hub and the container ID. When you do this, it will restart your process which is inside, which is sitting inside. Okay, so I guess signal spelling wrong. So this is how you'll stop the signal. So I mean, you're sending a signal up, it will just restart it. So it is always better than your Docker like restarting. Okay. So anyway, so this option is there in dev environment or QA environment. You can always use your Docker restart, and then you can give a command actually. So it will just restart it. Okay. This is about restart. And coming to RM. So RM is basically to remove the stopped containers. Okay. So Docker yes hyphen a. So I don't have any stopped container. So let me stop one of the container. Docker stop. So I'll just give kill. So it won't give a pass for 10 seconds. Okay. So I have that. Docker remove. Then 44F. When I do this, so you won't be able to see that container anymore, even in stopped or running containers. Okay. And let's say you need to remove an image. This also we have already seen it. So Docker RMI, and then you can give the image name. So let's say I have Dikshit SN commit iPhone test, right? So when I give this, you can remove the image. Okay, so that is about RMI. And run is basically to command. This is the command to run a new container. So there are a couple of options. So hyphen D is for running a container in daemon mode, and hyphen P is for port mapping. And this I've already shown, right? So when I ran nginx, I've to show Docker ports demo. So I've used hyphen P, and we can port the maps, and then we can use a volume hyphen V for volume mounting. And also so when you run Docker run, so what it does, so it will try to see fetch the image from local. If it is not there in local, so it will fetch it from up.docker.com, and then it will create a container out of it. Okay, so I don't want to show this command because I've ran multiple times Docker run -d -IT. There are a couple of options. Okay, so this is basically to create a new container and to run it. Okay, and Docker save I have already shown to you. So you need to, if you want to save your image to a tarball, like tarball or gz file, you can save it and you can share it with others. So what they can do is they can load it onto their systems and then they can use it. Okay, and the next one is Docker search. So Docker search is basically to search the images. Okay, so let's say I want to see the uh, tags which are there for busy box in my hub.docker, my repository. Then I can use search and I can give the image name. So whichever the image name as busy box, it will give it to me. And for this also, so we can use the filters. So basically, I want to search uh, the images. I want to filter only the images which has 3 stars. So then what I can do is, so Docker search busy box, and then I can give -, filter. Okay, and then stars is equals to 3. I can do this always. Okay, not stars, it is stars. Okay, see, it gives the images which has stars 3. Okay, this is about Docker search. And the next command is, so the next one is Docker start. So Docker start is basically is used to start or stopped containers. Okay, so Docker PS, I don't have stopped containers, I guess. So what I'll do is I'll just do Docker stop and then I'll just stop it. So now if you see, so stop will take little time. Basically, by default, it is 10 seconds. Now I don't have any running containers. What I can do is Docker start, and then I can give the container ID. Okay, F. So when I give, so you will be able to see my running container. So Docker ls, not ls, it is ps. Okay, so this is about Docker start and Docker stats, which gives a live a stream display of like containers, how much resource has been used and how much is available. So when I do Docker stats, I can see now. So yeah, I have one container. CPU utilization is 0.8, and I mean assigned is 3 GB, and usage is this much. So these information can be seen here. Okay. And the next one is Docker stop. So I've used a couple of times and I've also explained. So Docker stop is to stop one or more containers. Okay. And the next one is Docker tag. So Docker tag is basically, let's see. So Docker images, when I do Docker images, I've created a couple of images. If you see here, so few images doesn't have name at all. Like, I mean, you can't do this, right? Because if someone comes to see this host machine, if the repository name is none and tag name is none, so it doesn't make any sense, right? If you want to give a meaningful name, a repository name and tags, then you need to use Docker tag, and then you can give image ID as we don't have any name now. So then I can give, make sure sn tag test. So if you don't give any tag, so it will be latest. Let me give 1.0 as tag. Okay, so now when you do Docker images, so my name will be changed. So you can see 2cd here. So it was none, so now I've changed the name of it. Okay, so that is Docker tag. So the next one is Docker top. So Docker top is basically if you want to list all the processes which are running in your inside your container, so then you'll use it. Docker top, and the container ID is so let me do Docker PS before this. Yeah, Docker top and F9. So yeah, so you can see, so there are two processes. So one is init process and another one is like my startup command, which is infinite loop, which runs for uh, every 1 second. Okay, so that is about that. And we have seen unpause also. So whichever the pause processes are there, we are just unpausing it. So this helps you when, like, let's say you have two containers. One container you're accessing one particular curl command. You're curling it to some other application. So that application is not working. So there is no meaning that like sending a curl request for that, right? That time what you can do is like you can pause that process, and once that application has comes up, then you can unpause it. Okay. And then next one is Docker update. I guess like in this particular mission, it won't work because this is a GCP mission. So I need to do a little setup in this, I guess. But so I'll just show you how to use this Docker update. So this basically this command is used to change the system limits. Basically, CPU usage, kernel, memory, all those kind of stuff. You can change it here. So Docker update hyphen CPU, and then if you want to change CPU configurations, then you need to give like this. Or else, let's say I want to change only a memory. So I just want to assign 300 MB for my container. So then you can use -m, and then the container ID. I guess I need to give the Yeah, so it is like your kernel doesn't support this swap limit capabilities. So it is, one of the drawbacks of this GCP machine, whatever I'm using. So you can go ahead and you can use it in your machines. Like I guess like I need to do some settings for Docker for this particular machine. Okay, and then the next command is Docker version. So Docker version is basically which shows versions whatever I've installed. So I've installed 19.03. As you can see, the Docker engines, and so it gives both client and servers version information. Okay, and the next one is Docker wait. Docker wait, it is basically to block one or more containers until it is stopped. Okay, so as I've already discussed about one scenario, so it is keep on sending a curl request to one of the machine. So you don't want to do that. So you want to stop that, and before that you want to block for some time. So that time what you can do is, so you can use Docker. So what you can do is Docker wait, and then the container ID you can give. So it will be blocked until your so you won't be able to do anything. So once if it is so I'll go to another this one Docker stop, and if I give that particular ID F99, so then it is stopped. So it will take some time, so 10 seconds. So yes, so it has exited now. Okay, so this is how Docker wait will works. And yeah, that's all for this video. If you have liked this video, please share and subscribe. Thank you. Have a good day.